From the very beginning, it was the kind of moment that shattered the silence of a powerful man's world. A single glance, one he wasn't supposed to see, ignited something raw, dangerous, and deeply human in him. The Mafia boss, feared for his cold discipline and unshakable control, stopped dead in his tracks when he stepped onto the private beach of his coastal estate and saw his most trusted bodyguard gently applying sunscreen on his young secretary's shoulders. The sun was high, the waves were quiet, but in his chest thunder erupted. It wasn't fury alone. It was something he had buried for years, a feeling he never allowed himself to name. Jealousy. Vulnerability. Fear of losing something he never even admitted he wanted. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and emotional stories that remind us how human we all are, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. Your support helps these stories reach the hearts that need them. The Mafia boss, Raphael, had built his empire by shutting down every trace of softness inside him. He believed emotions made men weak, and weakness destroyed kingdoms. Yet ever since Liana had joined as his secretary, a quiet, intelligent woman with a gentle voice and calm presence, he had felt parts of himself he thought were dead come alive in uncomfortable ways. He noticed how her footsteps softened the atmosphere in his office, how her neatly tied hair and organized folders made his chaotic world feel manageable, how her smile, rare but warm, lingered in his mind long after she left the room. He kept these feelings locked behind the steel walls of his discipline, pretending they did not exist. But seeing someone else touch her, even innocently, tore that steel open like paper. Raphael didn't react outwardly that afternoon. He didn't shout. He didn't demand explanations. He didn't unleash the reputation he was known for. Instead, he turned around quietly and walked away, but inside him something spiraled. The image of her skin under someone else's hands replayed again and again, poisoning his thoughts. He told himself it was about professionalism, about respect, about boundaries, but he knew that was a lie. The truth was far simpler and far more dangerous. He cared for her. More than he should. More than he dared to admit. Liana had no idea what he saw. She had asked the bodyguard, Marcus, for help because she couldn't reach her shoulders and didn't want to get burned before the outdoor meeting Raphael had scheduled for the team. She thought nothing of it. She didn't think any man would feel possessive toward her, least of all her boss, who hardly spoke unless necessary. She didn't know the silent storm she had walked into. Over the next few days, Raphael became colder than ever, not in the loud, angry way but in the subtle, heavy way that chills a person's confidence. He didn't look her in the eye. He didn't respond when she updated him. He didn't acknowledge her presence except with clipped nods. Liana, who already struggled with insecurities, felt her heart sink. She wondered if she had made a mistake, if he found her annoying, if he regretted hiring her. She worked harder, spoke less, stayed later at the office, and tried to fix what she didn't understand was broken. Marcus, too, sensed the shift. The boss who trusted him with his life suddenly felt distant. But Marcus was loyal, and loyalty meant silence unless ordered otherwise. He said nothing, watching the tension thicken between the two people who refused to acknowledge how deeply they were hurting each other. Days turned into weeks. The distance became painful. Raphael hated himself for it, hated his emotional weakness even more. He was jealous, and jealousy felt like hunger, constant, humiliating, uncontrollable. Every time he saw Liana laugh softly at someone's joke or work with quiet dedication, he felt guilty for how he treated her, yet he couldn't bring himself to explain or apologize. Apologies were foreign to a man built from violence and strict walls. Vulnerability was a language he never learned to speak. But life has a way of forcing truth to the surface. One late evening, Liana left the office alone after finishing paperwork Raphael hadn't even thanked her for. The rain had begun, and she rushed toward the gate, holding her bag close. But across the street, two men recognized her, not as a simple secretary, but as the woman who came and went from Raphael's headquarters. In the criminal world, connections were currency, and targets. They grabbed her before she could scream. Raphael was still in his office, staring at her empty chair with a heaviness he didn't understand, when Marcus burst through the door with panic in his eyes. That alone was enough. Marcus never panicked. The moment he said Liana's name, Raphael's heart stopped. Without hesitation, without thought, without the cold efficiency he was famous for, Raphael ran like a man possessed. He didn't wait for backup. He didn't strategize. He didn't calculate risks. He followed the sound of her fear through the storm. From a distance he saw her, terrified, struggling, dragged into a side alley. Something ancient and primal snapped inside him. The world he built on logic and power crumbled, leaving only one truth standing: she mattered. More than his pride. More than his image. More than his empire. Raphael fought like a man with something to lose for the first time in his life. Every punch, every strike came from a place deeper than duty or reputation. It came from protectiveness, from emotion, from love he could no longer deny. When it was finally over and the men fled or fell, Raphael turned to Liana, wet, trembling, and breathless. In that moment, seeing her cry, he realized the distance he forced between them hurt her. He realized his silence had wounded her more than any enemy could. He gently touched her face, not possessively, not aggressively, but with the trembling uncertainty of a man who had spent years locking away feelings he could no longer suppress. From that night on, Raphael changed. Not instantly. Not perfectly. But noticeably. He started acknowledging her more, listening, thanking her, softening his tone. He stopped punishing her for emotions she never meant to stir in him. He started learning how to communicate, not as a boss, not as a mafia leader, but as a man trying to become worthy of someone gentle, someone kind, someone who made him want to be better. Liana, in turn, began to understand the truth behind his coldness. She saw the vulnerability he tried so desperately to hide. She saw the way he struggled to balance who he was with who he was becoming. She saw the fear in him, the fear of losing someone he should never have wanted but somehow couldn't stop caring about. Their relationship became a slow, emotional transformation, two broken people learning how to heal in each other's presence. Raphael started having conversations with Marcus, too, apologizing for the silent tension his jealousy caused. Marcus remained professional but gave a small smile, knowing the boss he served was finally discovering the humanity buried inside him. And one day, months later, Raphael found the courage to admit everything. Not with dramatic words or grand speeches, but with a simple, trembling confession, that the moment he saw another man touch her, even innocently, he realized how deeply he cared for her and how terrified he was of losing her. Liana, who had always felt unnoticed and unimportant, was overwhelmed by the depth of emotion hiding behind his once unchangeable exterior. They didn't fall into a perfect romance. They grew into it slowly, fragile but real, gentle but strong. Raphael became a man capable of protecting without controlling, loving without breaking, and feeling without fear. Liana became the quiet anchor who reminded him that even the coldest hearts could warm when given safety, patience, and understanding. Their story became one of transformation, not through power or violence, but through vulnerability, bravery, and the willingness to try again.